Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 15 of the Give 'em Heck podcast. I'm Brian. This is your host, Penny. And a few quick announcements. As you can see, we still have the old picture. It seems like this is I'm just teasing you guys at this point, or, just lying, really.
Yeah, it's all made up.
Seems like it, because it seems like every single week I get on here, it's like, okay, we're going to be doing this. And it's like, no, not yet. No. Whose fault would that be?
Shut up. It's life, okay? That's what we're going to blame it on.
But yeah, no, the TikTok and the poster are still on delay. We haven't gotten around to printing out the big physical image yet. And of course, I don't want to start a TikTok with our old logo just to have to re-upload the new one. And
it's a lot of work.
It's not that it's a lot of work. It's just...
It's tedious. Time consuming.
Well, it's like, why would I go out of the way to do all that just to change it again?
Right.
Yeah. So, once again, on another week delay. I'm not going to make any promises at this point because who knows? It could be a month from now and it's still not there. But I promise it's coming. I know it's not the most insane thing that we're changing, but you guys will like it. It definitely brings a lot of life to our poster, and it matches our background a little bit better too, color-wise. Other than that, I think that's it. Yeah, there wasn't really a whole lot of crazy announcements this week. But yeah, welcome any new viewers that are coming in. We're very happy to have you here, and welcome to all of our returning viewers. We're very happy to see you guys too. And I'm very interested to see what we have to talk about this week.
Yeah, I bet you are.
I won't have anything important to say, I promise.
No, I'm sure you won't.
Yeah, I don't say anything interesting.
Yeah, you always have something to say.
Nah, I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, so again, welcome to our returning viewers. Welcome to the new viewers. And if you are new, we always start off with a disclaimer. So our disclaimer is that we are not doctors, psychologists, or counselors. We're not giving any medical or psychological advice. We're just simply here to discuss real life situations, to give hope, encouragement, and instill change. And we hope that that is what you are finding in these podcasts. And again, maybe not every podcast speaks to you. Maybe a small amount does. Maybe the whole thing does. And we just hope that you can glean something out of it, big or small. And again, where this is our 15th episode, feel free to go back and watch some of the other ones.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not just, I want to make it like something special with that because a lot of other YouTubers that make a series are always like, go back and please watch my old content. The thing with us that I like to really differentiate from other podcasts is we try to make everything tie in, but the uniqueness of each episode.
Yes.
Like you're not going to get the same overall message from each episode that you would expect.
Right.
Everything that we do, everything that we talk about, everything that we experience, we want it to be as unique as life.
Right.
So
it's true.
You might look at this week's episode and be like, this one doesn't really resonate, but then you go back a few episodes and be like, ooh, that's exactly what I needed to hear. So, it's not a cliche when we say go back and watch our prior episodes. It's not about really the views. Right. Like, of course we want to grow, but we also want to make something that resonates with each individual person. Each episode is special, just like every person is special.
I like that.
You like that?
I like that.
And that's kind of like how we wanted to do this.
Right, and that's like I always say in our videos to new people who have never been here before, we always discuss the prior episode, and we do that because it does blend in with the new episode, and this is where Brian was saying how each episode is new and is different because they do tie in together.
Yep.
We have a flow of that, and that's what we want to keep going, but we do have a new topic every week, even though they all seem to have that flow, I guess.
It's like a new day with a continuation of the same story.
Yeah.
But every day is different to each person.
Exactly. And that's what we wanted it to be.
And two people can experience the same day but have different
outlooks,
different different perspectives, stuff like that.
Right. And it's whatever you glean from it, but I will say that a lot of times, if not all the time, our new podcasts are always based off of, I feel, what we've lived through that week. And that was the whole purpose of this podcast, was to let people know not only about our lives and helping us to grow and heal and change, because that was the reason we did it, was for us personally to be able to do that, but to help you know that you're not alone, that there's so many other people out there that are dealing with really the same things. Yeah. We're all dealing with the same issues. And sometimes you can feel very alone if you don't realize that there's other people that, hey, you know what? They go through the same thing, but the difference is they're not sitting in front of a camera talking about it.
Right.
You know, and that doesn't make it good or bad, but we did this for us, but also to help you know that you're not alone and that we do go through a lot of the same issues. And
to varying degrees, but
yeah,
if you can think about a situation, we've probably lived through it.
Mm-hmm. And not to say that we've conquered all, we've arrived, we have all the answers. That's not true.
I said that last week. Every day is something, a new experience, a new thing to learn.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Every day, every week. And then we find ourselves back here, hopefully finding ourselves a little different in a good way.
Yeah.
In a good way. So with that being said, in our last episode, we talked about vindication, redemption, and restoration. And we talked about these three things and what they meant. And we discussed them together and separately. So we're going to kind of touch on that before we get into today's podcast. So I looked up the definition of vindication because your take on it, Brian, was a little bit different than mine.
Yeah, and that's probably because, like I said last week, I don't use that word often. Mm-hmm. So I don't even think I can remember the last time I actually used it in a sentence. So from last week's episode, if my description or my idea of it didn't match its description, I apologize for that. I was going off of the best thing I could think of for the time, but...
Yeah, and I mean, when people hear, I'm going to speak for myself, when I hear the word vindication, oftentimes I think of it in a way of getting back at someone. But I wanted it to...
I think of that more like retribution.
Explain.
Well, like when you I don't really know how to explain it, but when you tell me like getting back at somebody, I don't think of the word revenge. Like it's almost like I need to get back at you to feel redeemed. You know what I'm saying?
Like karma?
Maybe. Like there needs to be some kind of retribution to this
action. I see what you mean.
What I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Again, if that's not the right way to use it, forgive me. But like I said, the word vindication, I've heard it before, but I've never used it in any kind of scenario. Yeah. So when you said it to me, it did kind of throw me off a little bit. Mm-hmm. But anyway, continue. So yeah, that's how I think of it. But I didn't want to take it from that standpoint because I don't want, like people can say that person is very vindictive. And when I think of something like that, I think of that person being someone that needs, like you said, Brian, retribution or have a payback. You know what I mean? Well, you don't have... Like they're owed. But you don't have to do that to people because, people hurt people. I get that. Things happen, whether on purpose or not. But you know what? Life has a way of coming back, and things will take care of themselves. So even though you may be hurt in a situation, let's just say by a certain person or, certain situation... I feel that you don't need to get back at people. Like Mom always used to say, there's always a payday. And that person will, I guess I'll say it this way, they'll get theirs. You know what I mean? Because my dad always used to say, Penny, you can't treat people bad and think that you're not going to get it somewhere along the way. You just can't do it because eventually it's going to catch up to you. Oftentimes when people wrong me, I do one of two things, really. I either completely cut them out, which a lot of people probably should do, but I cut them out, or I kill them with kindness.
See, and that to me, that's the total opposite of vindication. So maybe that's why you don't think of that word that much or use it. You know
Well,
what
it's
I mean?
like, you treat somebody like the very specific scenarios where I've done that, where it's almost like they don't know how to react.
It's true.
Like they expect you
They
to be
expect it.
hostile.
Yeah.
And then when you treat them the exact opposite, like you're genuinely being nice to them after they wronged you or did something that would be like, oh, that I'm going to take that personally. No, I do take it personally, but you're not going to know it.
Right.
And like I said, by the end of it, they genuinely don't know how to react.
Yeah, they don't. Because that's not usually how people treat people in life, right?
Well, it
Or how
shows-
life treats people.
Even with like something where I genuinely do not like a person because of something they did, me being nice to them, it almost makes them second guess themselves. Like maybe he wasn't what I thought.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
And then they'll try to come back and I'll be like, no, you can keep your distance,
Yeah. Keep an arm's length.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that either. So I looked up the word vindication because, like I said, I didn't want to take it from that standpoint of like a get back or a revenge or some type of karma thing. I was thinking of it more in a personal aspect of when I say I need to be vindicated, what does that look like? So when I looked up, and there was a few definitions of vindication, but I picked the one that I felt I wanted to bring out last week and impose on this week, and it's this: vindication. The action of clearing someone of blame.
Oh, okay. Now that you use that description, that's been used in a few of my stories that I have read. And for some reason, it never clicked.
Okay, so I added a couple things to that definition, only because it's not that the definition is wrong, right? Because I looked it up. But to make it more personal and to make it from the standpoint of where I was taking it last week is this. So the action of clearing someone or yourself of blame or regrets.
Now, would you use that in the sense of like, I have to be mean to somebody else to justify myself?
No.
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 Okay.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Right.
Your actions do not, how does that saying go? It's kind of like along the lines of two wrongs don't make a right, but your actions don't justify the means. Meaning this,
Okay.
the action of clearing yourself of blame. That's how I look at it. Meaning this, when you're in a situation in life and you've done all you can in that situation, a lot of times you will carry that regret with you, right? Like I did with Mom, and I'm still working on that. Those regrets come from blame. Maybe because I didn't feel like I did enough, or maybe I could have done better. The vindication that I talk about personally, and I'm speaking on myself with this, is, and I'm hoping that this will help others that are going through, these types of situations, is that I need to move on from those regrets because I don't want to have to blame myself the rest of my life for something now I can't change. Did I do my best? I hope so. Did I do everything right? I think that depends on your point of view. I don't know if I did. When you're in the moment, you're just going to do what you need to do.
I would argue it's not really so much what others think you could have done different or, to the extent of things. I think it's something that you needed to do for yourself. Like, this was like, you need to come to a realization of this was the best I could do with what I had. And nobody should have to blame me or judge me for what I did or didn't do when I did everything I could. That's why we always emphasize on this podcast, like, your best is good enough. Like, going above and beyond on every little thing. If anything, going above and beyond can be more damaging than just doing your best. And I don't refer to your best as like a bare minimum. I mean, like, because if you go above and beyond on a lot of things, number one, people are going to start expecting that of you.
Yes.
And number two, you're going to start expecting it of yourself.
And that's hard.
Because you're going to be like, well, I did it before, I can do it again. And before you know it, you're going to wear yourself down
And
even more.
sometimes you can't.
You know, it's like pushing your car's engine to its limit all the time. Just because it can doesn't mean it should.
Right. Eventually it's going to blow.
Exactly.
But when I say that I think I did my best in the situation with Mom Brian, I wasn't just thinking about myself too. I was thinking about, am I doing the best for her? There was a lot of decisions that I had to make during that time. And looking back, could I have made different decisions? Yeah. Could I have made better ones? I don't know.
I can tell you definitively that what you did was enough. And I don't think, knowing her, that she would have expected any more.
Do you think she would have expected different?
Expected different? Well, probably not. I think she probably expected just the best. Or I should say, not the best, I'm sorry. Your best. Not the best. There's a difference. That one word makes all the difference. Is it the best or your best? You know what I'm saying? So, perspective is everything, but
Yeah. So when I say vindication, I'm talking about for myself, meaning that I want to clear myself of the blame. I want to be able to stand here and say, I don't want to live with the regret because I did everything I could. That's my personal vindication. When I can stand in the mirror and say, I did all I could.
Yeah.
And that's where I was trying to take it last week, was that when I say vindication, I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm talking about the person that's looking in the mirror, that's dealing with that situation. I'm talking about where does it meet it for you when you say you need vindication in your situation. For me, it's about not being blamed anymore. And I'm only blaming myself. I get that. It's carrying the regrets of knowing that now I have to let it go because it's over.
I think that was something that, I'm sure some viewers probably have been through similar situations, but like setting yourself to a higher standard to make you feel like your actions put yourself at a less place to blame. I think you've already set yourself up for failure at that point. I think we've mentioned it probably in some of our earlier podcast episodes, where when you set the bar too high, where's the line drawn?
Right.
You know, how do you define I needed to do the best or I just need to do my best?
Yeah.
Versus what are the expectations of my best?
Well, what is the best? Where is that bar?
Well, do you get what I just said? You're doing your best, but with there not being a line drawn, you always think you can go further. And then when you inevitably don't reach that point, by the end of it, you're still going to blame yourself because you're going to think, oh, there's still more I could have did.
Right.
Even if I did everything.
True.
And, for the viewers watching, this is why I always emphasize to my friends, and I think I've mentioned it in prior episodes, don't push yourself to where you feel that your level of best needs to be comparable to somebody else or even what you think your best is. Just do your best. Just set the bar at a minimum, not because you feel that you can do more or do less or whatever the case may be. But if you set that bar too high, there's no limit.
Right.
There is no limit on the best, but there is a limit on your best.
Right.
And if you set that bar higher, if you set that bar to what society thinks the best is, or what your friends think the best is, or even subconsciously, if you think you can do more, you've already set yourself up for failure. And failure is not inherently a bad thing. It's when you come around to blame yourself for not going further. That's where that fall comes in.
So taking my situation, Brian, because you know it personally, and I know that there are others out there that may be dealing with a death situation or a breakup situation or a divorce situation or, whatever it is, and you're trying to find your vindication in this as well as I'm trying to. How do you find that type of vindication, Brian, when I say clearing myself of blame and regrets?
You want my honest answer?
Yeah. Gonna regret this probably.
See, I can't speak for you personally because even though I know I was there, I saw it, I can't get in your head. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to put myself in your position.
Okay.
I wouldn't have put myself in that place to begin with. Number one, because to me, being present is enough. Being there is enough. And I don't mean that in the sense of like, this is all people should expect. But when you have been to the places that I've been in life, you don't realize the significance of just being there can be versus what you can do while being there. Like I've been at low points, and I'm going to tell you something. Just having somebody with me, they didn't have to say anything. They didn't have to do anything. They just had to be there. That was enough.
So do you think that's why I can't get past this? It's because I took it too far.
I think you took it personally.
What do you mean by that?
I think everything that happened, there was a lot of emotion, obviously, but I think you took it to a place where you felt you needed to prove yourself in some way. You took it all personally. Not in a selfish way, like I need to prove something, but in a, what can I do to make myself look good? You know what I'm saying? And again, it's not in a selfish way, but it's like, if I don't make myself noticeable, then I'm going to hate myself. And when I say noticeable, I don't mean like to people, right? I'm not talking about people in the room.
Okay.
I'm talking about to yourself. You were criticizing yourself.
You think I was trying to prove something to myself?
Yes.
Wow. Wow. I don't know what to say. And I'm not saying you're wrong. But to look at it from that aspect is, you're probably right. But why would I do that?
I think you're too critical of yourself.
Why?
This is a therapy session now, apparently.
You're not wrong, but why?
See, I think this is good because I think viewers can relate.
Oh.
But this is the problem with actions that seem unselfish, but inherently they are. Where it's like, if me giving money to my friends, am I doing that really for them, or am I doing it because them feeling good makes me feel good? Like I need to do things to put myself in my own head, not because I'm trying to prove myself to them,
right,
but because I'm trying to feel better about myself and not...
Yeah, because I needed to know when this was over that I did everything right. Because I couldn't live with myself if I didn't. Was it healthy in the end when I'm sitting here now?
No.
So how do I get past it?
Again, I'm only speaking for myself when I give these answers, so I don't want anybody to live off of my example. But for me, how do I word this in a very nice way? I guess I just move on, keep looking forward. Look at what's ahead of me. Like I said last week with that analogy of the road in front of me.
Yeah.
You don't look at the end of your hood when you're driving. You look ahead of you at what's coming, whether it's good or bad.
And it's so true, Brian, because I don't blame anyone else but myself.
Stop it. Just see, and this is the problem I have with trying to explain my mindset on a lot of things, because for me it's very easy for me to just stop caring. Not in a mean way, but in a like, the past is done. Nothing I can do about it. Right? I don't have many regrets in life, because what good does it do me carrying the baggage? And I know it's easier for some people than it is for others. Like there's a lot of people I know who really have a hard time letting go of the past. And there's nothing wrong with that. There could be a multitude of things you could do to help you move past it. But you're the one who needs to find what works.
Yeah.
Me specifically, I'm only speaking for myself, okay? I'm not saying this to make you feel that this is something you need to do. I'm just saying for me, I just don't care.
No, it's true. I care too much.
And you need to do something to,
Well, that's what I'm saying when I say the vindication. I need to know that everything I did was okay.
And what would it take for that to happen?
I don't know, because I fight with myself. There's no one else. No one's blaming me.
Right.
It's a me thing.
Well, see, and that's the point. And that's what I mean when I say don't set your bar too high, because once you set a bar at all, you could think, well, I haven't reached the bar, I'm a failure. Or if you go over it, you could think, oh, I could have done it differently, or I could have gone even higher.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why I always just do my best on everything, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. It is a personal thing. Because I wasn't trying to prove anything to anybody. Maybe it was myself. But I needed to know that what I was doing was the right thing. Because like I said, I couldn't have lived with myself if I didn't. Would it have changed anything?
Well, I don't know. I can give a very extreme response here, and this is a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer this because I want this to be in your head for you to think about. But let me ask you this. With everything that you did, to the best of your ability or whatever the case may be, sitting here right now, do you feel accomplished? You know what I'm saying? Do you feel like you did everything you could? Do you feel that you did the best you could do? Do you feel vindicated? And like I said, that's an answer for you to think about, but that's my point, is that no matter what a person does in their life when it comes to really, really difficult situations, there shouldn't be any limitations or a limit. I don't know if I said the same thing twice. I meant it as there shouldn't be a high bar or a low bar.
Right. It just is.
It just is. So I apologize if I said the same thing twice there. But you get my point.
I do. And to answer your question only in a shallow way, Brian, because you told me to think about it, and I will, is this. I had mentioned last week with vindication that it goes along with this saying, and Papa always said it, is that time has a way. Mm-hmm. I think your vindication, especially, I'm going to speak for myself, it is just going to be time. Oh, dear God. Now what?
There's a part of me that thinks that that's still even putting some kind of a limit on it. Like there's this level of expectation that one day it's all going to just go away.
It's never going to go away?
Well, that's where the good thing that I was going to say come in. It's not time, it's you.
What?
You have power and control to essentially vindicate yourself. You are your own judge. Why should it be up to time? Because if anything, that puts a restriction on you to deal with your problems in the long term, where you need to confront yourself and get to a position where these problems no longer bother me. And I am proud of myself. Time heals wounds, yes. But what about the scars?
Ugh. I don't know. I just don't have answers.
I know, and these things aren't meant to have answers. I'm not looking for a specific thing when I say these things. This is just a different perspective on the complexities of life, because it takes a really strong person to not only deal with their problems in the long term, but to confront them head on.
Well, yeah, when do you finally look at yourself and say, I've been vindicated? What does that look like? How do you get there? When do you know?
I say when the situation is done.
Who determines that?
You. Who else?
How? How do
It's
you just stop blaming yourself?
It's a personal thing. Like, I can't sit here and tell you that because it worked for me, it's going to work for you. For me, once the situation is done, I literally wash my hands of it. I say I did everything I could. Could I have done it differently? Maybe. Could I have done it better? Maybe. Did it happen the way I wanted it to? Maybe. Maybe not. But the situation's done. Now it's time to move on to different things. You know?
Okay.
And that again, that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody deals with problems differently. I'm not trying to say that, what works for me works for you. It's just, for me, like I said, once a problem is done, it's done.
Yeah. And with the vindication, and I know you mentioned that how time is one thing, but you have to deal with it yourself, is the other part of vindication was not only to let the blame and the regrets go, but it's learning to love yourself through the vindication. That's hard.
Is it? I think that all depends on you.
You love yourself.
Love is a strong word, and I'm not necessarily always proud with the things that I do or the things that I say or the way that I act, but I am who I am. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. But yeah, it comes to a place where it's not really to me it's not about self-love, it's about self-respect.
They can't be that much different, though.
You'd be surprised.
Really?
Well, think about it. It's like in the military. You can respect your superior officer. It doesn't mean you like him.
Okay. So
it's that same thing.
Where are you with yourself? Is it a love thing or a respect thing or both?
It's probably a little bit of both. Like, I know I'm definitely not perfect.
Yeah.
Nobody is.
Nobody is.
But I have self-respect. Self-respect, discipline, intelligence, all these things contribute to it.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, hating yourself really, really lowers your potential.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I hate myself. Just maybe not happy with a lot of it. So part of the vindication I wanted to bring in tonight too, again, talking about last week, how I wanted to bring the vindication in as a personal thing, was I thought about this over the week, and it wasn't just about vindicating ourselves through these situations, but what about the justification? So I think they're very, very closely related. And I looked up the word of justification because I thought, well, maybe that's part of what I'm looking for too. And this is the definition of justification: an acceptable reason for doing something that justifies an act or way of behaving. Know that you did your best.
Mm-hmm. That's a word I'm very familiar with.
Yeah. So they kind of go hand in hand, right? very close.
Mm-hmm.
So does that kind of give you an idea, Brian, with the vindication of where I was taking it from? Does that all help now?
To me, justification, it does, to answer your question, but I hate using the word justification when it comes to people trying to do things to justify themselves or to give
like they're owed.
It's not so much that they're owed, it's almost like they're trying to prove it to themselves. Like, I need to do something to justify myself. I need justification, even if the people around you don't expect it or the situation doesn't call for it. It's almost like you're casting judgment on yourself, and
I see.
You're putting yourself in a position where, like, I need to prove this to myself. Mm-hmm. I need some kind of justification.
It's a proof thing.
It's a proof thing, yeah.
Right.
That might not exactly line up with the description, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't feel like I need to justify myself in any of my actions.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm just me. The only time I need to justify myself is if I hurt someone else. Mm-hmm. Then I need to make up for it. Mm-hmm. That person needs justification, not me. You know, it's a selfless thing. And I think that's one of the big differences between you and I is that, to me, I don't consider myself any higher or any lower than anybody else. So why do I need to go above and beyond for myself?
You think I think I'm better?
I didn't say that.
Okay.
Put words in my mouth.
Because I don't. I mean, I don't think that I do.
No, I didn't say that. I'm talking about just in general.
Okay. So justification is an act or a way of behaving, knowing that you did the best you could. So that's why I'm saying vindication, justification is very closely related. And I think part of it too, Brian, is not only knowing that you did your best, but being thankful for your journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at some point you got to stand back and say, you know what? Maybe things didn't work out the way I wanted them to. Maybe part of it did. But I'm thankful for what I went through. I'm thankful for what I've become and where I'm going. I mean, face it, life doesn't get easier. Well, life gets harder, but we get stronger, right?
Haven't I made that comparison in prior episodes where I'm like, no matter what the situation, you can always take experiences and lessons from them? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like that.
Yeah. Because life's definitely hard. And life is hard, but you have to get stronger sometimes, right?
Life is hard, but I think it's only as hard as you make it. Like, you can make a situation so much worse than it is.
You can.
You know what I'm saying? You can definitely amplify it through actions, through emotions, things like that. Yeah. So that's the thing I ask a lot of people when they're going through hard times is like, is it really as bad as you think it is? Mm. And I get one of two reactions from that. I either get anger, which tells me that they lack self-respect, or I get a person that really stays silent and thinks about it.
Yeah.
It's one of the two extremes. It's either silence or anger. Mm-hmm. And I can obviously tell which side has dominance in that scenario.
So the next word we talked about was redemption. And that's believing that something good will come out of your situation. And that's when you had referred to, Brian, as the cocoon to the butterfly. And I loved that because you always said, well, what's wrong with that new person? Mm-hmm. And getting to know that new person. And I think that that's where my conflict, I guess for lack of a better word, has kind of been these last couple of weeks that we've been talking about this is, I'm trying to find this new person and like this new person. Yeah. Maybe I'm just afraid to let go of parts of myself that maybe I need to. I don't know.
I mean, I can't speak for you, obviously, but I can tell you from my personal experience, letting go of the person I used to be was the greatest thing I ever did.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it was easy.
Right.
But when I finally did, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Makes a huge difference.
Well, my cousin had kind of explained it to me this way because we had talked a little bit about it. And she said, it's kind of like before you have a baby. And I know you can't relate, but it's kind of like before you have a baby, you've never been pregnant before, your body is one way, right? And then you get pregnant and your body goes through all of these changes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the baby and your body is never going to go back to what it was.
Right.
It can't. There's just no way for it to, right?
Yep.
So you have to kind of accept the person that you've become now. Like I would hope that you don't hate your body now because, the fact that you've had children, because that's just the way it works. It's kind of like that. Is that a good analogy, Brian?
No, I get it. Yeah, you're
not a different person. Like, I'm not different because I had you. I'm the same person I was before I got pregnant with you and during and after. But my body isn't what it was at 20.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we can use that as an analogy. Yeah.
It's kind of like that. So you have to learn to accept that person that you are now. Does that make sense? It made a lot of sense to me when she explained it.
Not only accepting the person you have become, but also be willing to accept the person you're becoming. Like before it happens. There's a foresight to it.
Oh, God. You know when you're changing? Is that what you're saying?
You can definitely see it coming.
Really?
I mean, think about it. When a scenario hits you, sometimes you don't like the things that you'll have to do or the person you'll have to be.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Sometimes sometimes you don't like that person that has to come out, but
that's still a part of you. And that new person, or I should say, the other half, may be the one that has to take over. And maybe the one who has to stay. But you're still you. Clarification, we're not talking about split personalities.
I was just going to say, is this a Jekyll and Hyde thing?
No. I mean, personally, I do believe everybody has,
different personalities to a degree.
Right, not the medical.
No,
not
we're
the
not
medical
talking about
disorder.
that. That's a whole different thing. We're not psychologists.
I'm talking about the different person that comes out in different scenarios where you need to sometimes be the person you don't want to be.
Okay. Like I can be very kind and very nice, but you touch my kid and you'll find a whole different side to me.
If I don't rip them apart first.
Like Mama Bear, right?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
But that's my point. Mm-hmm. See, I'm the same way. I could be the nicest person you ever met, but I can also be not.
Right. Well, yeah, and we've all got that, right? To a degree.
And see, the difference is I take both of those, and I don't look at them as different parts of me. They're all just me.
Oh.
So to me, that whole being is a person to be respected.
That's good, Brian.
From myself.
Right.
Self-respect.
I see what you're saying. So that takes off a lot of blame.
Self-blame, yeah.
Self-blame.
Yeah. If other people don't like it, that's a them problem.
Right.
I've literally had people...
It's just you.
I've had people look at me and be like, I like the old you better. And I'm just like... Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sometimes the other person is the one who did away with that person. So.
Oh, wow.
Well, think about it. You're a nice guy your entire life. People take advantage of that. And then all of a sudden you finally stand up for yourself and you're, all of a sudden you realize how that other person thought of you.
Well, maybe it's about time you stick up for yourself.
And that can
mean a lot of things.
That's
I get it.
part of the self-respect.
Right.
You let people step on you your entire life. Eventually, you're going to get tired of it.
True. Wow. So then we talked about restoration. And this was about finding healing and peace. And one thing I had mentioned was that through the healing, learning to give yourself permission. And I think that's been a big part of this for me, Brian, is that I think part of the struggle, if not most of it, has been the fact that I haven't given myself, for whatever reason, and maybe you can tell me, the permission to heal.
Could be.
I don't know why. Maybe the fear of it. Maybe the knowing what it might take to get there. I don't know. But you have to give yourself permission. Nobody else is going to.
I would argue it's not even so much about allowing yourself to do that. I think it's more of or it's not really so much permission. It's more of embracing.
I like that.
So you're not just letting that thing, you're letting that person in. You're accepting it.
Right. That's good. But I think permission has to come first. To a degree. No.
Is it?
Well,
See, to me, that sounds like when you say that, it sounds like you're holding yourself back.
that's what I mean. So if I give myself permission, that kind of tears some of those barriers down, right? To allow myself to embrace the other part of maybe what I'm trying to avoid,
It could be.
you know?
See, to me, and I think it goes like my answers are because of things that I've gone through. I never had to fight for the new person.
Unbelievable.
I just stopped.
Yeah.
I just did. It wasn't this long process.
I think too, for you, it's because you never cared what anybody thought of you. You didn't care.
I did. I did it. I used to.
You used to, but not now. Like you're you. And if people can't accept it, you're not afraid to make the mistakes. You're not afraid to take the chances. You're not afraid to.
I consider taking the risks of
the
change.
risks. Yeah, you're not. They don't hinder you, and you don't step back and think, well, if this is the wrong thing.
Would you believe me if I told you? And I know you know me a little better than the people watching, but would it surprise you if I told you that it was fun?
Not for you. It wouldn't surprise me. No.
It was fun. That was the best way I can describe it. Being that new person was so refreshing because I no longer had to deal with the anxieties of self-blame, of
You loved the
self-judgment.
challenge. You loved the
That's
risk.
it. That's literally, it was a challenge.
And you loved it.
It was rising to the challenge.
Because you're just like your papa.
No, I'm nothing like him.
That's how he was. He just rose to the challenges and didn't care. But I think it's good. I'm trying. Okay, we're going to move on. So part of it was the healing and the peace that we were talking about with the restoration. So now we're going to get into today's podcast.
48 minutes in. That was the intro. I hope you're enjoying the episode so far.
Okay, there it is. All right, so in today's episode, wow, we're going to talk about rest and peace. Okay, so now I want to take it from this perspective. Here we go. We all know the world's a mess right now.
Really, I couldn't tell.
There's not much rest. Definitely not a whole lot of peace. But I'm not taking it from as a whole world scenario. I'm talking about as an individual. Personal. Just like we did with everything else that we just talked about earlier, right? It's that's the personal thing. So, what do you think, Brian, when I say rest? And again, it's a personal thing. I'm not trying to be stupid, okay? I want to know what you think from a personal standpoint. When I say the word rest to you, what does that mean in situations for people?
It's pretty self-explanatory. Like, I don't really have a huge outlook on it. Like, because I can use it in the scenarios that I've had, like when I've let go of situations. It's almost like when I say now I can rest, I mean I can forget.
Is it a letting go?
Well, yeah, a little bit. I can forget. I can move on. I can relax. Things like that.
Okay. So what do you think of when I say peace? Oh, that's deep.
It goes alongside what I said. It all correlates. Peace and rest. Like, just letting go and relaxing, essentially just not caring, moving on. Kind of like in the analogy of like me sitting on a beach on vacation, like the things that I was dealing with my job or, things like that, bills. It's like a moment of respite. Respite? Yeah. Respite.
So when you're sitting on a beach, to me, that's a physical rest, relaxation, peace. How do you find that inner rest and peace? And do you think you ever can find it?
Oh, I find it all the time. So, and I'm not just saying that to be arrogant. I mean it. Like, it's when I'm not dealing with a problem currently, it's like that bill that we were working on earlier.
Mm-hmm.
During that time, that was frustrating.
It was frustrating.
But when it was done, I rested.
That was it?
That was it.
You were done?
I didn't think about it again.
Really?
Yeah. It was done.
So how do you, okay, that was a bill. That's an outside thing. Yes, I know you had emotions through it. But how does someone deal and find rest and peace with inner turmoil? Like real deep inner hurts, regrets, scars. How do you find the peace and rest from those things?
Are you asking in general or me?
Let's start in general first.
I think it takes a person, I think it takes a lot of courage for somebody to get to a place where they need to like find something, not necessarily to distract them from the inner turmoil, but something that they can enjoy to bring them that rest, like finding that thing to
Outlet.
do, an outlet, yeah. Because if you stay focused on the inner turmoil all the time, you lose track of the person you are. You lose track of your emotions. You lose track of it all.
Yeah,
and you just kind of focus on that one thing, and it can consume you.
It can. And you can forget the things and the people around you very easily.
Mm-hmm.
You think that kind of situation, O'Brien, takes time? That type of healing takes time?
I don't think it takes time. I think it takes discipline.
Okay.
I think it takes a level of like I said earlier, a little bit of self-respect and a little bit of self-discipline. How fast you heal is determined by yourself. Time is not the healer, you are.
Wow.
Because you have more power than you think you do. And I've said that in other podcast episodes.
Well, the sign.
The sign! I ruined it.
That was good, Brian. I like it. Yeah, so it's like with the podcast, right? We did this for ourselves for healing, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you say an outlet, like for me, I love to hike.
Mm-hmm.
To me, there is no better place to be than on top of a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've gone hiking with us. Just to stand out there and watch the birds, feel that breeze on your face. Just, it's so quiet, so tranquil. Just to look out over and just see nothing but mountains and trees. There's nothing like it. That is the time when I forget about everything.
Mm-hmm.
So is that kind of like what you mean?
It could be. It could be, something physical, something mental, something emotional. It could be multitude of things. Just finding that thing to help you recover.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily mean something to help you think about your problems more. Like I know some friends, and I keep telling them not to do this, but apparently nobody listens to me. But when they're going through a hard time, they'll go and listen to sad music, and they think that helps them.
Oh, that does not help.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why do you do things that remind you you know,
Of the turmoil.
of the turmoil. Yeah, literally. Like, why are you listening to sad, depressing music? And they'll sit there and like literally argue with me like it helps. No, it doesn't. If anything, it makes you less tolerable to be around
Mm-hmm.
because now you're subjecting me to your sorrow.
Right. Right.
Misery loves company, and that's the problem. Misery to me is a much stronger word than just sadness. Because misery to me is a selfish act that attracts others. It's literally the definition of that, or the thing of that saying, misery loves company.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't always mean that it likes to attract other miserable people. It means it likes to draw the misery out of other people.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Like, it almost makes me upset,
Right.
makes
Yeah.
me miserable. Why should I be subjected to it?
Right. Right.
Find stuff that makes you happy. That brings that life back. Not digs you further into that hole and then covers you with mud.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's not fair to you. That's not fair to the people around you.
Yeah, because you can not only lose yourself in that misery, but you can get to the place where you forget the happiness that really is right in front of you.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I tell people. It's like there's so much more to life than just what's happening.
Or what has happened.
Yeah, and I can mean that personally, and I can even mean that in the world. There's so much more to life. Why surround yourself with nothing but the misery?
That's true.
Find the things that make you happy and consume your life with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I remember at one of my low points, one of my coworkers, she said to me one day, and I didn't realize how bad I had gotten it. She said, "Don't you have a family? Don't you have a husband? Don't you have a son?" And I thought, and I know some of you might be sitting there thinking, duh, but really you can get that low where you don't even see what's in front of you anymore.
Yep, and it's very easy to get to that point.
Oh, it is. It's a fast, slippery slope.
Mm-hmm. And the issue with it is, once you get to that point, it's hard to stop sliding.
Oh, it is.
Which is why I don't let myself get to that point. When I feel myself starting to get to that edge, then I'll back off and be like, okay, I need to go do something else. I need to go talk to somebody else.
Right.
You
Go
know.
find my happy place.
Yeah.
Like on top of a mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Exactly.
your case, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, you said last week, Brian, every day is a reset.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found this saying on one of my friends' posts, I guess you could say, on her Facebook, and it correlated with that. It says, every sunrise is proof that you get to begin again. I like that.
You know, it's there's another saying I heard that you might like, and ironically, it's from an animated movie. And I'll credit the movie just in case somebody gets upset at me, but it's from Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the characters said, yes, the future is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why it's called the present.
I like that.
And
And it's true, isn't it?
Being from an animated movie, you wouldn't take it that seriously, but it's true.
It is.
And it goes in with what I said earlier. That's why the past doesn't concern me. That's why the past doesn't bother me, because it's history.
That's good, Brian. So we also talked about how it always starts with you, and you know that it may take small steps to get there. And we talked about with those small steps about the tree, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we have the picture in our logo and in our new sign that we're going to get eventually, I promise. There is a tree in that one too, and we'll tell you about the significance of that tree when we finally get our sign.
Yeah, about 3 months from now.
Shut up. So the tree always starts with a small seed, but can grow into something big and beautiful. And that was something that my cousin had said, and I thought that was really good. But before we go tonight, I want to give this quote again that I had left you guys with last week, because it really means a lot, is give yourself more credit. You're trying to grow while trying to heal. You're trying to forgive while trying to grieve. You're trying to search while trying to let go. And you're trying to love others while remembering how to love yourself. Just remember, you're doing the best that you can. And really, when it comes down to it, that's what it is, isn't it, Brian?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And it's the acceptance of not so much others, but of yourself.
Yep. I would say it comes down to you, yourself, more so than what others think.
Well, yeah, because not everybody's going to accept you, and that's okay.
Well, they're not living in your shoes.
Exactly. And doesn't that eliminate some of the judging when we stop doing that?
Yeah, because especially when you let other people get involved like that, you oftentimes will let their judgments cast onto yourself.
Yeah.
And then you start second guessing yourself.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So the thing is don't let other people get in your skin. You know, you have to be the one to give yourself that level of discipline, that level of self-respect.
Yeah.
And to realize that, you know, no matter the turmoil, it really comes down to how you treat yourself that can make the biggest difference.
That's true.
It can make, like, what is an ant to an oak tree?
Yeah.
You know, that ant can do some damage to a tree over time, but it won't be able to kill it.
Right. Yeah. It really does start with you.
You are mightier than you think you are.
You are. Wow, that's good, Brian. So I think that's where we're going to wrap it up tonight. And again, I'm going to leave you with our saying: believe in yourself, be patient with yourself, and know your best is always good enough.
Absolutely.
And remember, we can be found on many different platforms like YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. Please like, share, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you'll never miss another episode. Remember, you can give your comments, concerns, suggestions, however you felt about the podcast, what you'd like to hear more of, on our email, which is giveemheck@gmail.com. And I think that's where we'll wrap it up.
All right. I want to say one little quick thing, and I think we have mentioned this before at the end of some of our other shows, but I really want to emphasize it because I'd like to do something different to make our community a little bit more involved.
Oh, yeah.
Is if you have a situation or a scenario specifically that you want us to touch on, to maybe give you personally a little bit more uplifting, feel free to leave a comment on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you don't have to give your whole life story in the comment. We appreciate the willingness to do so, but we want to involve you guys more in our conversations. Yeah. So always feel free to not just, give a comment on the podcast itself, but feel free to share scenarios that you might be going through, and we'll gladly talk about them. Yeah. Because I think it's important to involve others. Yeah. In your
that's what we're doing.
Stories, exactly.
To let people know.
Exactly.
We're all living life.
Instead of it being us sharing our stories, let's share your stories together. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, because we can even learn something from other people. I'd love to know it if other people have gone through what we've gone through. How'd you get through it? Yeah.
And then we can bring it onto the show, and we'll even be more than happy to credit you if you
want.
If you want, make sure you drop a comment in there and see if that's something you'd like to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, have a good night, everyone.
Good night.